Hello, this is Perry Mink, and it is Tuesday, September 8th, 2020 at about it's almost 3:15 in the afternoon. I have, this is an update, and for those of you who don't know, I'm doing a series right now called For the People, and it is a current development into what is happening to me by what the government here in Martinez, California, is perpetrating on me through federal government too. This is happening from the legal system right here in Contra Costa County in California in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I still do not have gas, and so that means I don't have hot water still, and I don't have gas for the stovetop burners to cook. Although I am using different appliances, and I'm able to, uh, you know, heat a meal and so forth. I took Winnie in to get help to ARF, Tony LaRussa's Animal Rescue Foundation, last Friday, to get help with his condition. He was coughing, and I thought that could be because when I went to the food bank a couple of months ago, the government strategically interferes with our daily life, and because they hate Winnie so much and mocking me about him being my service dog, that they put other dogs in our path to get him to react, because they know that he will react to another dog. And so in the process, I was trying to restrain him with his harness. He wears a front harness where you leash on the front of the harness. And he started coughing, and then since then it seemed like he was coughing at home, like on a regular basis, but maybe up to 3 times a day. And then he seemed like he was having difficulty breathing, and I didn't know. At the same time, he was still on a K1 vitamin because they poisoned him with I think, rat poison. And so at the time that I contacted ARF, their animal, the Emergency Medical Fund program, he was having the coughing episodes, and then I was tapering off of the vitamin K, and then I stopped it, and then all of a sudden he started having some issues that appeared to be related to poison again. So I didn't know what to do, and I had to start him on K1 again, and because I'm still being terrorized, I had to think I had to outsmart them. How am I going to communicate with them so that they can help Winnie? And so I thought, okay, I'll just talk about the coughing when I finally got approval to take him in. But that in itself, they were terrorizing me again, because the supervisor, Christine Wong, pretended like she didn't get my application, completed application and required documents through the email. So I found another place to send it through. I think it was Instagram. I went through different places, and I think that was the place. And then oh yes, and then I went down there because she didn't respond. So I took Winnie down there just to hand the hard copy over, and that's when she started saying, I got your application. And I said, well, you didn't tell me. And she said, yes, I did. And I said, well, right now you're telling me. Yeah, you got it. She admitted that she got it through Instagram. So anyway, I took him in, and I kept thinking, how am I going, at that time, when I saw Christine in person for the first time, she asked me what else, right? And I said, oh, and then I paused, and I said, I'll discuss it during the appointment, because I didn't feel that was appropriate to then take up more of her time, and it wasn't the appointment. So then when I went in, it was already premeditated again, okay, but I had hope that it wouldn't be. And they wouldn't even take the information correctly. Christine Wong didn't speak with me that day, and I guess the volunteer that was there for the animal adoption was in on it too, and she came out acting like she was really helpful and let me see if I could get somebody for you because of the COVID-19, you have to wait outside. And the veterinarian came out, and I started to talk about this poisoning. And I did give copies and the calendar that I was keeping track of treating him to the technician. And it's so complicated, it's so convoluted because I don't know how to fix this. And so the veterinarian started doing it, acting like she doesn't know what I'm talking about, pretending like they can't provide services. And then I asked for, at the end, it wouldn't even take his poop samples, and I told him that they were different. Then they brought Winnie back out through the technician, and then it didn't dawn on me until later that she was in on it too, and she had a red leash with her, and she says, "Oh, is this yours?" Like that was some game that they were playing, but it had nothing to do with anything except they were playing some sick game that was related to the groomer. And Winnie's groomer, I don't have the groomer anymore because they ramped up through her too, and she went along with it. I don't know if she's still here or not. So I said, how would you like, can you what kind of payment? I made a cash payment. She came out and brought me a receipt, but all it showed was the amount, which was $30. There was no recommendation for what I need to do for his coughing except to not use a collar. Well, he doesn't use a collar. He uses a front leash harness. The front, it comes out in the front, and then you put the leash on. And excuse me for being so upset, but I haven't been able to sleep over this. And it feels like I'm having some kind of a severe, like they want me to have a stroke or something, some kind of heart attack. That's how I've been feeling the whole weekend. And I said, "Oh, where's because she just gave me it's just a receipt, and it just shows the amount." So I said, "Well, where's where's the information about what the vet recommends?" And so I said, "Well, I want a copy of his medical record." So then she brought that out, a copy, and then it doesn't even have the date, and then she's writing something that I didn't say. And so this is what they're teaching these students, or young interns, these young veterinarians. I don't know if she's an intern or not, but telling them what to do, that you write something different than what the person is saying. Also, when I was speaking to the veterinarian, this young woman, she was telling me that they don't provide testing, and that it's an emergency, and that I'm supposed to report it to the police. Okay, so if I remember, there was something that I asked for from her, and this is it here. And she says at the end, contact the police for investigation. Well, I gave them a copy of what I had already reported to to Contra Costa County Animal Services, and I told her I reported it to them. So obviously this is a sick, wicked, insidious game that they're still perpetrating on me. It's a terrorist attack to keep triggering in me a horrible anxiety to kill me off, and to somehow slowly and methodically kill Winnie too. And so I canceled class for the people on Friday because I just could not deal with it. It caused me to have difficulty breathing. The next day I got up and I thought, let me just take care of Winnie and me, and I'm going to eat well. We're going to have, our breakfast together. I'm going to clean house. And then I finally decided to do some research. And I found out that this stage is not an emergency, that you wouldn't wait until after you finish the K1 vitamin and then wait until he starts having some kind of a some type of symptoms that he's showing, and then take him to some emergency vet. That wasn't what I found. I found a website by a drug company who gave specifically about something about once you complete the end of the last K1, because you're supposed to cut the dosage in half, and then at that end it was saying that you wait 72 hours and then you get this test that this vet was talking about to make sure that it's now cleared. So that's not an emergency. And then I looked on the, when Winnie was at ARF before, ARF uses a specific diagnostic facility. And so I looked on their website, and sure enough, they offer that test, because when I was reading another article, it said that they offer this testing through veterinary practices. And so I was just, upset again. And then I also found another website that was, I remember I found 3 websites that were, discussing about what to do in a case like this, and and this test that she was talking about, PT test, is some kind of time test. It's not it's not just for an emergency situation. You would use it to find out some other some other problem. So I emailed them. I emailed them back, and I'm just so afraid to even check my email, because if I don't see anything there, which means they applied the Ignore Act again, it's just going to cause me to have more of a trauma effect. I'm going to have some kind of a, heart breathing stroke or something. So I announced on the weekend that we were observing Labor Day weekend, and so class wouldn't be on Monday, September 7th, 2020, and in observance of Labor Day. And what I decided to do was, I thought, you know what, I've never really looked into details about Labor Day, and I started reading some different information, and I came across some information about who or where Labor Day stems from, and I found out it's connected to a political party that is called Producerism. And so I looked into that, and I said, that's what I'm about. I'm for the working class. That's what Producerism is. That's the political party that's for the people. That's the political party that's for the working class people. Socialism just means communism. And under socialism and communism is Marxism, Fascism, even democratic socialism falls under that. There was another one I was going to name. But those are all about the government having control over the people. And so you would not have individual rights. And this stems from the Catholic Church. And it stems from the Romans. And so what is the lesson for today? What is the homework for today? I watched some more videos on YouTube and some other like religious documentaries over the weekend. And they tried to stop me. This Nazi gov here tried to stop me from looking up and studying about Nazi Germany. And I posted that on Facebook. Well, I eventually was able to find more documentary type programs that spoke about issues that we are experiencing here in the United States, right here in Contra Costa County, California, in the San Francisco Bay Area. And it's been going on since the 90s that I know of. And I posted on Facebook over the weekend, and some of you may have been watching, and one of them was about a discovery of a book, and this book showed about how the Nazis were going to, they were getting preferential treatment, and they were getting kickbacks, right? They were getting benefit and went on some nice best trip vacation. But at the same time, these people that were being targeted, suppressed, and slowly and methodically being killed off were the Jews and many other people, okay, that were on the hit list, if you will, on the Nazi hit list. And so I posted that, and then I watched a, let's see if I could go to, let's see, hold on. So I was watching the program is called, it's by the it's by the Watchman with Eric Stackelbeck, and it's called, let's see if I can find it. For some reason I can't find it right now. They have been deleting some of my saved YouTube videos, and then all of a sudden I find out that it's not even available anymore. Alright, well, I'll need to get back with that. In the meantime, I ended up watching, and excuse me for not pronouncing this correctly, it's on the Yad Vashem YouTube channel, and it's called Hope Keeps You Going, the story of Marta Weiss. And I did post that on Facebook, and what struck me about that video is they also come from a wealthy family, and my family is wealthy, and we're high on the hit list. And unbeknownst to me, it wasn't until I civilly sought justice for us here, the Encina victims and the court victims, that it was apparent that Sue Angeli, who was also the mayor of Pleasant Hill back in 1995 when I bought my condo in Pleasant Hill here, and she was also the property manager for the condo complex I was at, and she was working for BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit, but she was a scout, and she was scoping out people and then I guess contacting their Nazi group, and then they were going outside of the community and then torturing and terrorizing and killing people through the medical offices. And they were doing that to my clients. Well, I posted that one on Facebook, and this has been going on since the 90s out here that I know of, just through my research, investigation, intuition. What were they doing out here? What is the Catholics? What are they doing out here? Who joined them? So I did some further research, and I started watching on the same program. It's over an hour long, and today I'm going to talk about just the first like 30 minutes of it, just going into like the first 33 minutes of it. And this is the homework. This is the part of the people for the people video to assist people, to help them understand and help them be knowledgeable and to be prepared, informed, to be brave. As I say, learn, prepare, be brave, inform others, outsmart them, and regain our rights. That's what I've been posting on Facebook. So this program is called Pius the 12th and the Holocaust. What can we learn from the Vatican archives? And this is, I'm going to open this up, and so it might start. Okay, so this documentary, if you will, is speaking about what was going on during the Holocaust, and some questions are being raised. And forgive me for not writing down the person's name that's giving this. Let me see if I could find it really quickly here. Let's see if I could find.
So I would like first of all to thank again Mr. Gorenstein. It's a great honor to me and not the opposite.
So I think her name is Dr. Nidam-Orvieto.
I would like.
All right. So at about 30 minutes into this educational documentary, if you will, she's talking about something called the Christmas Speech 1942. And just off the top, let me look up exactly what more detail on this. The Christmas Speech 1942, and it was an address speech delivered by Pope Pius the 12th over Vatican radio. Okay, so that's exactly what it was. But what I want to concentrate on is she asks some questions. All right, so right now my video is at about 24 minutes. So she asks, why no clarity of killing Jews as victims? 2 years Catholic Poles killed by Nazi Germans, and it was a huge wave of violence against Catholic Poles. Okay, so that's what she's talking about around the 30-minute mark of this video. And for those of you who've been keeping up with my videos, you'll remember in two of my, I believe it was 2 videos, I know it was in it was in one of my For the People video, I bring up about Gerhard Damert, who is the retired California state investigator, and he's Catholic, and he was doing everything that he could, along with his wife, Kathy, to assist me in some way while I sought justice, so that justice would be served. He knew something terrible was wrong, and he even said that when he was working in the government, that there were women there that were just, they were not doing their job, okay? And for those of you who know, retired Judge Lewis Trent from Louisiana, also said the same thing to me. And both of them were so concerned and contributed to the best of their ability to assist me in seeking justice, because they knew something terrible was wrong with what Barbara Zuniga was doing, Judge Barbara Zuniga. So in my video, you might remember I say this really, well, Gerhard told me this. He told me about during the time when he was growing up he grew up in Oakland, California, and that at that time, in public, white people were attacking each other for their ethnicity, and they would say this really horrific joke, sick joke, saying, how many poles does it take to change a light bulb, okay? And he was trying to help me understand that at that time, that even in the newspaper, they were even, there were ads in the newspaper that would say no polls allowed, polls not need apply, okay? And it was disturbing. Now, Gary is his name, was such a kind man. I mean, he really, you could just tell by his way of dealing with people, the way that he interacted with others. They don't want you to know him because after his wife passed away, long time ago, he was single for a long time, and his heart was broken. He told me, he said, that is, just a sad, situation. And he adopted his children. Him and his wife adopted their children. But then he started dating, in his senior years, when he was retired, was dating a black woman. And Kathy had to tell me that part of the story, that she came in, and so she had to intervene, because I guess I wasn't there, okay, so I can only speak to what they were explaining to me in their experience. Okay, they have a right to tell their story, and I guess this particular person was taking advantage of him, and so Kathy stepped in, and then that was part of why they were together. But they did everything they could to assist me without them getting involved in the details of the case, because Encina Veterinary Clinic Incorporated et al., Mink versus Encina Veterinary Clinic Incorporated et al., as a litigant and somebody who was not only representing themselves and needing people to help with process service, because they had already, at the time I didn't know, but they had already broken that system to the people in the community. And so, from the law books, if you have people assisting you with process service, they aren't supposed to be siding with you as far as, I like that vet practice, I don't like that vet practice, I like those people, I don't like those people. That's completely out of it. So I wouldn't tell them the details of what happened. They just knew that I was in a lawsuit, and it was against the vet practice, because you know the name, Encina Veterinary Clinics, it's a public record. And so he did everything that he could, and so did Kathy. Well, So to bring it back to this video about her questions, okay, so why no clarity of killing Jews as victims? 2 years Catholic Poles killed by Nazi Germany, huge wave of violence against Catholic Poles. She says, this doctor says, we simply do not know. It is still an unanswered question that will need to be explained much more if it will be possible to understand. One, she doesn't say one, that's the, I'm going to say the first question is, so the question is it silence or is it prudence? And then the next question, too, is it the willing to avoid any deterioration even more of the situation of Catholics and of Jews and other victims of war? So I said to myself, okay, well, what exactly does prudence mean? Okay, so I looked up the word prudence just to have clarity, and it says, the quality or fact of being prudent, caution with regard to practical matters. And so I looked up prudent, because that was prudence, and I looked at prudent, and it says judicious or wisely cautious in practical affairs, careful in providing for the future, provident. So, what they're saying is, was it silence, like a cover-up, or is it because of something about being cautious in these affairs? Okay, that's what I think that they're saying. But I will tell you right now, okay, so during this process, I'm going to answer her questions. And for the people that are just, joining us, at the time that the government here, the legal system, kidnapped me, they knew already that I was practicing what I called a scene, okay? I was practicing a scene and a little bit Calvinist. That's what I told to the chaplain once they took me captive. I usually don't say that to people in general because they don't even know what an Essene is, okay? Not very many people I knew practice, or what shall I say, studied the history of Christianity the way that I was, just because I don't know enough people, because you're working, and then most people, when you're working, your time off is spent doing the things that are your interest. So if you're sewing and knitting, you can do that, and then when you're not sewing and knitting, you're gardening. If you're not doing that, you're taking care of your pets. If you're not doing that, you're doing your other interest, okay? So I was studying the history of Christianity. And that was something I identified with because, the Essenes, because I was consuming vegetables medicinally, for medicinal purposes, and that's my right. And so I guess these legal people here didn't like that because they don't like Christians either, because there are Christians that do practice that, because in the New Testament you take care of your body, okay? It tells you to do that. So what I'm going to do here is answer these questions, because once I started studying to write the part articles to protect the Encina victims and the court victims, and still today, I started, I recollect what Gary was telling me, what Kathy had a degree in anthropology, and as I said, Gary was a retired California state investigator. And so I thought back, what was going on in Poland? What was that all about? Why was it that when Gary was growing up, why were they attacking Polish people? So I, just not too long ago, I was researching about the history of Poland and that ethnic group from that region. And this is what happened, just in a nutshell. The Catholic Church, through centuries, attacked, through terrorist tactics, the people, the ethnic people of that region, because they couldn't stand them. They were pagans and they hated them. They thought they were dirty, okay? And so they wanted to convert them, okay, because that's what the Catholics do, that they're supposed to go on rampages, and if you don't convert to them, they're going to kill you off. Well, they were still going to kill them off, okay, and you could see that by what I heard in this video. And so that's what the main issue is. Okay, so what is it? What really is it? Okay, it's not that they're Catholic Poles. Okay, they converted. The Catholics forced into this region where the Polish people are, this ethnic group. And they hated them. The popes throughout the centuries hated these people, and they said, how are we going to get rid of these people? And they need to convert. But it really wasn't about converting. It was the Catholic was invading, and it was a takeover. Okay, that's the bottom line. The Catholic Church, which is not Christian, it is Roman Universal. Let me make that clear. It is Roman Universal. It is not Christian. They, through the centuries, and it took centuries of them continually attacking the Polish people, this region, this ethnic group in this region, and just pounding in on them, okay, because the Catholic wanted that region. So to answer the question, it wasn't against Catholics in Poland. It was still against this ethnic group. That's why. So the first question is, is it silence or is it prudence? Okay, so going back to prudence, right? So it's judicious or wisely cautious in practical affairs, careful in providing for the future. Okay, so I don't know if she means about careful in providing for the future, but I can tell you it's about exterminating this ethnic group. Okay, that's what it boils down to, and so that's why they didn't say anything, and so it's again probably a combination, and it's a cover-up. Hey, we hate those Poles. That's why. Okay, so is it the willing to avoid any deterioration, even more, of the situation of Catholics and of Jews and other victims of war? Well, is it the willing to avoid any deterioration? Okay, well, it's not to avoid any deterioration even more, to not say anything. I mean, they don't want to claim responsibility. The Catholic Church is not going to spell it out, but it is in their canon during that time that they were to obliterate Jews and other ethnic groups. So I guess you could say, or not guess, it is a cover-up. Okay, so the silence is intentional. Okay, so is it silence? Yes. Okay, it's intentional to not explain why they're doing this. So the question after this for me is, at what point are these people who are studying and speaking out against this going to clarify it themselves? Okay, well, I am. And this is why it's so dangerous, because this is coming from the Pope and the Vatican and the people at the top. Okay, it's their government system that's doing it. And so that's why it's happening here in my area, because the goal is to be secret about it. Never actually claim responsibility for it and continue to perpetrate it. So that's where it comes from. And the clarification that I'm describing here is, and I've done this in my part articles, the popes know they aren't Catholic. Aren't Christian. The popes know this. They know that they're not Christian. They know that they're not teaching Christianity. They're teaching the parishioners and the students early on to be terrorists, so that they can use them at will, use them up, and then discard them. And so that's why you see this huge wave of violence against Catholic Poles. So that's important to know, because it's the important aspect of this is that they're not targeting the people because they're Catholic. They're targeting them simply because they used them up and now you discard them. So they're supposed to do what their governmental system wants, and then that means that they're going to be part of the victims of war. Now, why are they targeting Jews? Okay, I've said this in my part articles. Okay, I've said this in videos. I can't remember exactly where. If you've been keeping up with my posts, you'll know what I'm talking about. And so this is my response. The Vatican, the decisions at the Vatican are about their religion being the supreme religion. That's the basis. So the Jewish people, to this Roman group throughout history, even during Jesus' time, is that the Romans are the supreme. And so that's why back then they, killed off the Jews back then. So what happened is that the Romans really, how shall I say, overthrew the smaller Christian groups. Okay, back then they call it the Way. Okay, those of you who have studied the history of Christianity, during that time after Jesus was crucified, it was called the Way. Okay, they were still calling it the Way, and Jesus was being presented as the Messiah to the Jews, and I wrote about that was because at that time the elite Jews, the high priests and the Sadducees were corrupt, but there were other sects within the Jews, and so the Messiah that is spoken about is simply that the Messiah was going to help the Jews because of the corruption that was going on. So Jesus was, that term, the Messiah. That doesn't mean that the Jews are supposed to be exterminated. That was simply Jesus was the Messiah because of the corruption that was going on within with the high priest and the Sadducees. And if you notice, the Sadducees are completely exterminated, but the Essenes still go on today. But Jesus is Jewish, and so the point I'm making is that Jesus is a Jew, but Jews aren't supposed to be eliminated. People who are, and I changed my wording for this because the Catholic Church teaches to mock Jesus, and so my phrases used to be walk with the Lord, walk a closer walk with Jesus, and those phrases are mocked, and so they start like stalking you. Okay, that's where they get that from. You say, I'm following Jesus. Okay, so then the cruel Catholic starts mocking you, and then they start stalking you and following you around everywhere. Okay, so I changed the phrase that I use to that I'm a Jesus' teachings practitioner. Okay, so and excuse me for having anxiety attacks right now. It's just that they're still targeting me, terrorizing me. And okay, so back then, when you hear a video like this one that I'm speaking about, that I'm answering questions, you must go back to Jesus' times. You can't just start at the World War I even. You have to keep going back. You have to keep going back. And the Romans believe that they are the supreme, and that the Romans overthrew the way, the people that were the way, that were Jesus' teachings practitioners back then, and they kept wiping them out. And then they took them over, and then they created their quote-unquote Christian sect, which is really Roman Universal, and they believe that they are the supreme religion. Okay, now those of you who have been on my Facebook, you know I've been saying they're a supremest terrorist regime. All right, that's because they will continue to go on rampages terrorizing. And what do? They recruit. So when you read my part 2 article, and I will include that in the description, they are recruiting them so that they don't understand why they are doing this. And that's how scary it is, because that's how they operate. And what do they use? Sex. And that's what the Nazis were using. And so they use sex to influence to gain, how shall I say, it's like an addiction. And so you would keep wanting that lifestyle, and you would be in that sect, if you will. It's like an extreme terrorist regime, and you would continue to stay in that sect even though you don't identify yourself or call yourself a Catholic. So that's where this is happening, why this is happening. So I answered the questions, so you don't have to ask those questions. You don't have to ask those questions. It's the answer is out there. So I just keep asking that while we're seeking justice we need millions of people. This is happening right here in Contra Costa County, in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it is proven with evidence that it is the Catholics that this terrorist regime stems from. I proved it with evidence. And they have recruited so many people, and they don't want to let it go, because once you let that go, they will not have that kind of party lifestyle. They will not be going out paying for everybody's glass of wine at this banquet, if you will. They won't be going to a spa or having sex every weekend with a different person that they've groomed, or paying for these sex clubs that they go to. So I just ask that please spread the word. We need justice now. This has been going on here for so long, and these people are terrorists, and they don't belong in the government. And it is just so scary. And as I said before, this is not what I look like. I have some kind of a autoimmune infection. They damaged my entire body. I was like 16% body fat because I was satisfied living with Jesus in my heart. I was satisfied living with the way that I was devoted to the Jesus teachings and reading the Holy Bible, the New Testament, and then referencing the Old. And they took that away from me. So this video is about 50 minutes long, and I just want to thank you. I did get a new phone, but I can't even activate it. They sabotaged my computer. I bought a new refurbished computer not too long ago, and as soon as I went to, activate it, because you have to go through certain steps, they sabotaged it, and so now it won't sync with this OneDrive. I can't get it to do certain things. It keeps saying there's a problem. I tried to create a new Outlook email because I heard that was the newer version. Then I'll keep my older Hotmail account, but I thought, okay, at this time I'll use a new Outlook email account. There's no problem with that. Other people have done it too. They caused a problem with that. And it's just so disturbing. They hacked into my YouTube account, my Facebook account, my Tumblr. I'm doing everything that I can because this is happening all over again. And our political parties will not come clean on it. You notice that Nancy Pelosi will not speak up for us as individuals because communists don't believe in individual rights. They don't protect our property, they steal it. They pillage. They think that they have a right to do it because they believe that they are the supreme, that they are the entity that is allowed to do this to people, and it's just happening all over again. Alright, thank you for watching, and thank you for these people that I've been speaking about who are on YouTube with their channels, and I'm sorry I cannot locate that YouTube program from The Watchman with Eric Stackelbeck right now. I'll look it up after I post this video. Alright, thank you again, and we're signing off. And please, if people can get millions of people involved, because Winnie is dying, I'm dying, we're dying in here. It's their way of getting rid of you. Alright, thank you very much. Signing off for now.